So
All
I felt
right.
like it
So
had to
we
be
took a little intermission. My Wi-Fi dropped. We had a cat situation. We're good now.
yeah.
What's your cat's name?
Oh, my cat's name is Remy, and yeah, she has to be wherever anyone is. If they're doing anything, she has to be right up like in it.
Yeah.
So she was like laying on the whole setup, and she like bent the wire, I guess.
Yeah. Have you seen those like TikToks or those videos where like people buy their cats little laptops and then like put
No,
it next to them?
no, I have not, but that sounds super cool.
Apparently like a cat like lay like on the laptop or like bother you while you're like reading or something because they like want to do what you're doing. They want to mirror you. So if you get them their own little laptop,
That's
then
so
they
adorable.
then they leave you alone. But anyways, so you've done a couple songs with Roan and Bixby. How did you guys meet?
Okay, so this story starts in July of 2021. We all had a mutual friend named Bertway, and he went live on Instagram, and we all joined just like coincidence. And we all requested to join the live, also coincidence. And it was like 3 a.m. So we had like probably like four people watching, and like three of them were us. so so we joined and we were all just dancing for some reason, like super tired, just dancing. And after that, we all decided that we were gonna get in Discord and play games together.
Okay.
And then we just did that for like a month or two, and then we started like actually recording together and doing that.
So at this point, when you guys met, were you making music already?
Yeah, yeah. I've been making music since like the start of 2020, I think, or like
Okay,
I want to say my actually I think my first song dates to September of 2020. So maybe like towards the end.
gotcha. So you've been practiced. That's so funny how you guys just
Yeah,
coincidence.
it was so coincidence, and I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah, you guys have done a lot of absolute bangers, so I'm excited to
Thank you.
see
Thank you.
what else you come up with. How do you guys work together usually?
So I go out to LA. I used to, at least. I haven't traveled in a while because I've kind of had some real life stuff I've been doing.
Hmm.
And so I used to go to LA a decent amount, and we meet up when I was there because they live near there. So it was pretty easy for all of us to just get together over there. And that's yeah. And then we used to just we've gone to a few studios together and just, you know, done
Yeah.
that. But then we also just sit on Discord and record that way. So
Yeah, I recently learned that like and that makes a lot of sense. I've used Discord for a lot of like school clubs and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a very functional way to make music with people as opposed to like sitting on FaceTime or something like that, you know.
yeah, yeah. The screen sharing is the biggest thing. You can just screen share like what you're doing to them. So
Yeah, absolutely. So is LA a place that you would want to ultimately move to, or do you have somewhere else in mind? Oh, that was a
God no, I would never move to LA. That place is so fucking gross. that place is really that place is really gross. I love
I appreciate the honest opinion. That is
no,
very
it that is 100% honest. I see. I used to love going there when I first went.
yeah.
I've seen some things over there, like some stuff that I will never forget. I've been scarred for life. It's just like it's a very toxic and dirty place, in my opinion. I think it's cool, and it definitely has a lot of opportunity for artists just being out there because that's kind of where a lot of people are. So it's like a
Right.
hot spot. But you know, it's just it's not somewhere you want to be 24/7.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
that's how I see it.
Yeah,
But
and
it is a cool place to visit.
it sounds like you've been there enough to the point where you kind of got a feel of like what it would be like to live there. So very smart on your part to understand that yes, there's opportunity, but also like you and your personality, like the way you operate, you can't do it. So a lot of
Yeah.
respect to that because I feel like, there's a good amount of people that, push themselves to live someplace because they think it'll be better for their music or their art or whatever, but may not fit who they are as a person. So very
With the internet being a thing, I don't think even like your location it matters to an extent, but with the internet being so populated and so popular, I just think it's made everything so much more accessible as in like let's say like 10, 15 years ago, people were let's just talk about like record deals. People would go and people would get certain places, like A&Rs would go to shows to find talent and stuff like that. But
yeah,
like now it's just everyone's on the internet, everything is on the internet, that it's like possible to do whatever just from being on the internet. So I
right.
think I think location has mattered less and less over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially like since people were forced to have to learn how to use all sorts of online tools and meet online, I feel like everyone's very accustomed to like working online and doing good work online. As much as like businesses and companies are trying to force people to go back in person to work, I feel like it's kind of reached a point now where it doesn't really matter.
No, that's
Well,
very
you're making music in quarantine, not to like trigger anyone or bring that whole shit up, but
no, you're good.
it sounds like it was a very productive time for you. Is that true?
Oh yeah. It was, while it was a bad time in general, like I can't like if it was up to me, I'd say it was a great time. But just with everything going on, it clearly was not a
Right.
great time.
Like to be politically correct, you can't say it was a fun time, but
Yeah, but
you
but for
had fun.
me, that was the best 2.5 years of my life because see, at first I really disliked my parents because I was in high school at the time, and
Mhm.
I disliked my parents for not letting me leave the house. They did not like I think in a year I went the store maybe like twice or
Oh,
like 3 times. But
trust
like
me, my parents were the same way.
so at first, quarantine made me lose a lot of my real life. I didn't hang out with my friends for 2.5 years, pretty much. I mean, I saw them every once in a while, like maybe like twice. It was like once in a blue moon. I'd get to see people,
Yeah.
and so I lost a lot of those connections, but I made a lot of friends online, and I started making music. And with not being able to leave the house and not having any distraction, the only thing I could do, the only thing I wanted to do was sit in my room and make music. So I pretty much grinded until quarantine stopped, and I still do now. It's all I know. Like I've like trained myself. I finished school online, and then I trained myself to just make music every day. So now it's like when I can't make music, it's like I don't know what to do,
It's
you know?
weird. Yeah, I get you. So it's very much a part of your day-to-day routine.
Yeah,
Cool.
but I wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am now, without my parents not letting me leave the house.
Yeah. Well, so I guess blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Did you find that you were that motivated about like anything, any hobby or anything like that prior to quarantine? Because you said you kind of like trained yourself. So did you always have that kind of mindset of like grind and like work for, or was this like a newly developed
No, it was a newly developed
way?
thing. I've always been like a person. See, I get committed to things, but I never push myself to the max to like get really good at it. I just kind of like get pretty good at things, and then I just stay there. Like my interest before music was basketball, and
Okay.
I was pretty good at basketball. I wasn't the best at all. Um but that was definitely something I wanted to do for a really long time. And then once like it trained me because it was the only thing I could do. Music was the only thing I could do when I was inside. It was either that or it was like be on my phone. And
Right.
at the end of the day, like I had somewhat of a brain developing at that point. so I so I was um might as well be productive. Like I could be doing something. And it's fun. It was fun making music to start. Like it was like the
Yeah.
best thing in the world. So it was yeah, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a song for you that you remember being like that stands out to be the most emotionally charged or the most personal song out of the ones you released.
I'm gonna be completely honest. This is the only time I'm ever gonna say this to anyone, and this is the only like I would never say this anywhere else.
All right.
So none of my music up until recently is anything about my life. I get a lot of my musical inspiration from movies and TV shows and watching like main characters go through things or like stuff like that. And I kind of translate that and like create stories in my head. But I also up until 3 songs ago, What I Did to You, that was the first song I ever sat there and wrote like myself. That's the first song I ever sat there and like thought about something that happened or like something happened prior to that I was like, okay, I'm gonna write about this. So everything else was just like kind of like hit
Your imagine,
record,
yeah,
say a
imagination.
line, then stop. Yeah, it was just yeah. So not a lot of it is very um personal up until last three. Like
Hmm.
Love Like That is my most personal song. That one strives a story that happened to me not too long ago. And that, yeah. So my creative process, other than I guess writing these last few songs, was just kind of freestyle, like think of stuff from movies and TV shows and think of scenarios in my head. Cause I just like the story writing aspect of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think not enough people really talk about that. That yes, music can be a very personal thing and can be a very personal way to process emotions and kind of work through things. But in the same respect, it's also storytelling. It's a form of storytelling. So you were using it as that, and that is just as cool, right? And the fact that
Yeah.
you've learned to do both is even cooler. So now when you're emo, you can write songs about being emo. And if you want to
Yeah,
just,
no, for sure.
so very cool. Um, you have a Christmas song that you wrote with Bixby. Can you tell me about that? I'm very interested to hear because I don't know that I have ever seen I don't know that I feel like I don't really see that out of like aside from Ariana Grande or like Taylor Swift making her Christmas album. What prompted that?
All right. So I don't know if you know this. That song was released in July. and so that
Even
song's
better. What the hell?
yeah, so it was marked as the Christmas song of the summer.
Uh-huh.
And uh so I had the idea because I was listening to what was it was like this old UBC album. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They kind of have been MIA from what I know. I haven't heard anything. But they made a Christmas album during Christmas and it was like Christmas like hyperpop in a sense.
Okay.
But um I I don't know. I just made it. I really don't know what prompted it. I made the open. I sent to Bixby, and I was like, I think we were in Discord, and I showed it to him, and I was like, hey, you should definitely get on this. Like, let's drop this in July. And at first, I wanted to do a whole album that was stretched out throughout a whole year, where it was like for Christmas we were gonna do a Halloween song for Halloween we are gonna do a Christmas song for like that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Like
kind of deal just to
flip-flopped.
like yeah just to throw everyone off just like it was just fun but that's where that comes from that's about it. It was
That
very fun
is
to make
that is iconic. That
and it did
is
very well for a summer
yeah.
drop.
Yeah, it did. Oh my goodness. Wow. So like And that I feel like that is so important that you are having fun with music like that. I feel like a lot of people take themselves so seriously and they're like, I gotta plan out the drop and like it, I'm scared to release that. Well, I mean, I'm sure everyone, contemplates releasing stuff, but just that aura of like being very spontaneous with it, that is so important and very cool. So, and
Yeah.
I think your listeners and your followers can definitely like relate, but also I think they appreciate that. And you can definitely tell by the streams as well
Yeah,
that they
no, for
do.
sure. For sure, for sure.
Do you remember the first song that you released where you were like, oh shit, this is doing well?
I hate talking about this song, but it's a song called Smackdown that's on my
Okay.
account. It's
Oh, the
my
one, is it the
first.
one with Eric DOA and like
Yeah, it's a
huge
cipher.
cipher? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't talk about the creation of it much, but what happened originally was Eric had I I want to say this was 2021, but I it might be 20. Wait, what month is it right now? It's September.
It's September, yeah.
Okay, this must have been September of 2020.
Okay.
Um, Eric, which today is actually his birthday. So 2 years ago today,
Okay.
we were in Discord for his birthday, and he made a song that was gonna go on his Dante Red account,
Yep.
but he didn't necessarily like it. So he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Whoever gets it, like you get it." And then so I got it, and I did a verse on it, and I was like, you know what? I'd heard Spinna by Curtains and Red by Bloodhounds, which are like huge ciphers.
Right.
And I was like, I should do something like that. So I hit up all the artists, and it took about a month to get it all together. But then I dropped it, and I knew like you see the names on it, and even back then you knew that it was gonna do well.
Oh yeah.
Like it was so clear as day that that song was, and that song did wonders for me. It did wonders, but it was like a pro con thing. Like I was kind of known as the SmackDown cipher guy for a while,
I
but then
gotcha.
it also brought traction to my stuff that I released solo like right after.
Yeah. And I think very smart of you to, acknowledge, yes, this is how people are perceiving me now, but then also kind of following it up with something that says, hey, this is me. This is who I actually am. Right. So people are
Yeah.
getting the full scope of everything and not just, one song that they see online. So that is very cool. In your opinion, what do you think makes a good cipher?
Um,
Anything in particular or just good verses?
I don't even think good verses. It could be horrible verses. The beat is all that matters for a cipher. If that shit has to like make you want to turn up, because if the beat doesn't hit super hard and like I feel like the only I don't know, not necessarily, but I feel like when there's a lot of people on a song and there's a lot of verses, there has to be something that keeps it up.
Yeah,
And I don't think verses could do that alone.
true.
Um, so I definitely think that it's the beat. The beat is like, in my opinion, the most important part of a cipher, whether it switches up or it's just a really good beat.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps to maintain the like continuity to it because obviously everyone that's on that cipher has a different flow, has, a different voice, just even. So it's going to be a little bit of a difference, but if the beat kind of matches or kind of goes with it, then I think that definitely helps to make it less like stark of a jump from one person to the next. So
Yeah,
very,
100%.
very cool. Um, you have released an album, right?
Yep.
In 2021 called Dusk. what was the process like for that? And what would you say is like the biggest lesson or like the most important thing that you learned from it?
So that project was kind of a impulse, like I want to drop something that's like more than just a single. Like I want to drop a body of work.
Yeah,
Um, I didn't at all put that album really was just there to show versatility
for
because
sure.
I didn't want it to just be like one consistent genre throughout.
Yeah,
Um, Not that like I'm not hating on that. Like that's I think some of the best albums are kind of like fluent and go together.
right.
Um, but I just wanted to kind of prove myself in a sense. And so that's why there's so many different genres on it. But that album was kind of just mix match putting things together that I like. I shouldn't have labeled it an album. I kind of regretted doing that like a week after I dropped it. But I didn't want to change it. I was gonna because I didn't want to call it a mixtape either, but it was pretty much a mixtape. Um it was just kind of songs that I made that I really liked. Some older, some that I made like a few weeks before the album dropped. And yeah, it all started. I was in Discord with one of my friends, David Halo, and he was talking to me about he drops a lot of projects, and I was like, that seems really cool. I want to try that. So I ultimately did, and Dusk was the product.
Gotcha. I feel like that's a very good way to kind of experiment with that though, right? Like a lot of people I I mean, I guess it depends, but like I feel like some people kind of expect an album to be like cohesive or like that's like just naturally what you would go to, but it's cool that you were able to kind of like be different there and just like hit them with it and be like, all right, here you go, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So for future larger projects, EPs, albums, do you like in mind have like a certain way that you want to approach it? Or is that like TBD? Just kind of see what happens.
A lot of it's to be determined, but uh, I've always wanted to make a project that's very cinematic in a sense,
Yeah.
like heavy impact, like whether it's yeah, like just I've always wanted to make a super emotional project. I just haven't figured out a way to go out it yet.
Yeah.
Um, I take a lot of inspiration from like Breakins and 50 Landing
Yeah.
when it comes to like I just love the way they structure their projects
Hmm.
and that's just how I want to do it, but I haven't thought too hard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that that sounds very cool. And I think as you kind of like grow and explore more as a musician, you'll definitely uh find kind of where you want to go with that. What do you like most about performing?
Just seeing people in the crowd turn up
Yeah.
like and just see them having a great time because that's like because then it's like mutual. It's like I'm already having a great time performing, and
Right.
then when I see people having a great time like being there, it's a great feeling. It's like unmatched. I've never felt anything like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure seeing people sing your songs back to you is probably
That is insane. That's like the craziest thing. Because last show I did at House of Blues, one song I barely knew the words for, but like I had people singing it for me. It was so sick.
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's
just to
nuts.
think like that's not a place that you live, you know? That's a
Yeah, yeah,
complete other side of the country, right? That's so
yep,
dope. All
yeah.
right.
It's an insane feeling.
All right, Andy. So we've got the new song out now, Love Like That.
Yep.
Out now, stream it, available everywhere. What else is next for you?
Uh, so I want to drop. maybe one or two more singles, then maybe a project, maybe, just maybe. Um, I definitely want to keep going in the direction that I'm going sound wise.
Yeah.
I really like making like indie rock alternative stuff. Um, and I've only gotten good feedback from it. So I definitely think that's the direction I'm taking, and that's what's to come next. Hopefully performing a little bit more. Nothing too crazy in the works right now for that, but hopefully soon.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really
thank you for having
appreciate
me.
it. Everyone can follow you. Where can they follow you? What's your handle?
Uh my handle is at one indie on everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank
Yay!
you.